Welcome to Fierce Fit Feminine and Other F Words, a place where women in business come to learn how to improve their health, beauty, body language, and communication. I'm Christine Brunelli, and I'm your host, chiropractor, former beauty salon owner, and certified image consultant, business owner for 29 years. I've got a few things figured out, and all I do is pour into what I know and share it with you in these episodes. Today's episode ties into your health, and you might not have any idea how planning 2023 ties into your health, but I'm going to teach all of that in a few minutes. This episode piggybacks on last week, talking about managing holiday burnout. Well, if your calendar is planned for 2023, and I'm talking all the way through January through December, get your calendar out and start planning it. Your mental health is going to be a lot better. And when your mental health is better, your physical health is better. Okay, are you ready to figure all this out? Let's get started. Winter 1993, I was in Davenport, Iowa, a small town in the middle of the United States, in chiropractic college. And I had a big exam coming up. It was a final exam for peripheral nervous system. PNS is what we called it. The professor was frankly terrifying. Everybody knew that if you didn't do well in his class, you had to repeat the class. And if you had to repeat the class, that meant that you didn't graduate with the people you started with because it set you back. And he was the kind of professor that you wrote down every single word he said, because you didn't know what was going to show up on the exam. But he was also the kind of professor at the end of his class, if you passed, you loved him because you learned so freaking much. You blew your own mind at how much he was able to pull out of you. Well, in order to do really well in his class, you had to be a really good time manager. And I got through high school and my first few years of college, before I got into chiropractic college and grad school type studies, I could wing it. I didn't have to really be on top of studying every single day. I was just gifted that way. I could grab a concept and I was a decent test taker and I could wing it. I couldn't wing it in his class. And not very many people could. The people that aced his class were the ones that studied a little bit every day. You know, those good study habits that a lot of us teach our children. Well, I didn't have those. I wasn't good at it. Boy, his class taught me. And this final exam was, I think, 45% of your final grade. I don't remember the exact. It wasn't over 50%, but it was a high weight of what your final grade was. And if you didn't get over a certain percentage on that exam, you probably weren't going to pass this course. I mean, it was just terrifying. And I didn't prepare well. So I had to stay up literally all night. And I had two friends that came to my apartment and we stayed awake all night, literally all night. They came over, we had dinner, we had all of our stuff out. Now, this is the type of class where all of the nerves that go down into your fingers and through your shoulders and down to your big toe and everything that has to do with anything in your spine and your nervous system. We had to know all of it. And the names, the direction, every little detail that you don't care to know. But we had to know all the little bitty details, and we had to be able to draw it on a piece of paper, like do our own little schematic of it. We never knew what he was going to throw on exam. So we crammed all night. We stayed awake all night till like 4 or 5 in the morning. They left to go shower and have breakfast. I didn't have time to sleep because I had to do the same thing. And his class was earlier in the morning. And did I feel good in my body? Was I running on nerves? Was I running on caffeine? Yes, I was running on caffeine. No, I didn't feel good. No, I didn't feel prepared. What happens to our body when we do that to ourselves? And that's just one example. Let's go into your first job. Maybe it was when you were a young kid and you were left in some situation, either in the public sector, whether it was retail or customer service or restaurant, and you were thrown into a situation where you didn't know the game plan. I had this happen to me in a restaurant. I think I was 19 years old, and it was a very, very, very busy restaurant. And back in those days, okay, we're back in the 80s, we didn't have card readers for credit cards. If you're my age, you'll remember I call it a clicker clacker. I don't know what it's called, but it was this metal apparatus that you would lay the credit card down in, and you would lay the card down. Then you would lay down this carbon triplicate a piece of paper over top of it. And then you would take your hand and roll this metal thing that would glide over the credit card with the paper on top, and it would imprint your name, credit card number, expiration date, and all that stuff. And so you would have to go push that thing left, then right. And I would call it the clicker clacker because it would make a noise. It would go click, click. Like you just had to do that. Well, anyway, the clicker clacker broke in this restaurant. I don't know what to call that thing. And the boss was nowhere to be found. The hostess, who I looked at the time as maybe someone that would be in a position of leadership, because the boss it was a small restaurant. There wasn't like boss, manager, like all these levels, right? It was a small hometown restaurant. I didn't know what to do. I just sat there thinking, how do I get this card? Do I go to the table and ask them for cash and say the clicker clacker's broken? Anyway, it's another situation where you get flush, right? I was young. I didn't know what the steps were. I didn't have a plan, and I felt unprepared. I didn't feel empowered to make decisions. I didn't know what the right thing to do was. Now, this example is all about standard operating procedures, not about your calendar and time management, like the college exam example I gave you, which was all about poor planning on my part and having this exam creep up on me. But both of them had the same exact response in my body. What happens to your body physically when things like this happen, when we're not prepared for things that are coming up, like exams, or whoever knows what it could be in your situation, or you're in a position at work where you might want to take some time off, but you have no idea what is in the pipeline for your job or whatever in the next 6 weeks. So you're not sure if it's going to fit. You can't commit to your own vacation. Your body goes into fight or flight. In that case, most people go into flight, where their heart rate goes up. Their cortisol spikes, which does a lot of this stuff, but your heart pounds faster. You might get a little warm, and I get blotchy in those situations. My skin gets really red. Maybe you can relate to that. Your muscles get tight. Your blood pressure goes up. Your breath gets more shallow and more rapid. And your senses are very sharp, like you're just very hyper aware, like the hair on the back of your neck kind of thing. These are physical changes that happen to you. They're physical, and they happen because of mental stress. Do you see what I mean? Nothing physical happened to me in those situations. Nothing physical happens to you when you are experiencing a surprise in your day or in your week, an unexpected thing. But emotionally, on a mental, emotional level, on the inside, all these things happen. That is why planning your calendar for 2023 is so important. Because all of those things that happened are only good if you're running from a bear in caveman times. That's what it's for. It's to protect you. It's to keep you alive. It's not to manage your business and every day. Now, if your business is you're a police officer and you have, people trying to shoot you, yes, you need that level of adrenaline running and all of that stuff. That's where fight or flight kicks in and where it's necessary. But for most of us listening to this episode, that's not you. That's not your life. Your life is you're a woman in leadership. You're a business owner. You're an entrepreneur, or any position that gives you a level of authority and expertise. And that kind of fight mechanism isn't good for your health. Not to mention that it's not good for your business. Your business needs to be planned for. So planning your calendar does make a difference in improving that, because what it does for you is it helps get you prepared for what's coming up. It keeps you in high performance mode without high stress. And I think that if you're listening to this podcast, you want to be a high performer. You want to be successful. And so let's figure out a way to do that for 2023. And step one is getting your calendar done. This is something I've done for a very long time. In my beauty salon, I did my calendar every December. I did the next year's calendar pretty much in full. Now I'm going to break down the 4 steps to do this, but I did it all the time for a couple reasons. And one of the biggest reasons was my staff. I wanted them to know what holidays we were closed so that they could plan, because I always promised them that we would have Easter Sunday we were open on Sunday, so we'd always be closed on Easter Sunday. We were always closed Memorial Day weekend, but there were certain times, like for example, in July, where we might have a wedding because people, for some reason, they get married on the 4th of July, and that creates work for us. But I planned it a year in advance so that they could plan their life. It was out of respect for them, knowing that they have a life outside of their work. So if you have a team, that is reason number one to plan your entire 2023 right now. And if you're a brick and mortar business, you already probably have done this, but online business owners also have employees and virtual assistants, and they also want to know when you're working and when you're not. It is important. It empowers them to make better decisions. So that is reason number one. So let's get into what we want to do. We're going to empower ourselves, but we're going to empower our employees if we have them. And we're going to get a big 1-year calendar. Go to an office supply store or go on Amazon and get yourself a 1-year either whiteboard or a paper calendar. Get a 1 year where you can look at every single month at once. Put it down on paper or on a whiteboard. Get the big one. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where you can see the whole year. They're big. And I am a proponent of doing that because it gives you a bird's eye view of your entire year in business. It's going to leave room for all the other stuff. Don't worry, stay with me. But a bird's eye view. Your big 1-year calendar is your big overview. What you'll do on the 1-year calendar is you're going to first enter all of the holidays that you're not working. Whether you are brick and mortar or you're online or whatever, the holidays that you're not working or the holidays that your business is closed, mark them off closed, right? Just however you want to do it, what works for you, closed. Then I want you to put in your vacations. Some of you already know all the vacations you're taking in 2023. Some of you don't. I'm a fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl when it comes to vacations. I might get a wild hair and say, next month I'm going to Cancun. I never know all the time, way in advance, but I do know there are certain things that I'll go, for example, watch my daughter at a horse show. And I know she's going to be in Palm Springs, California at a certain month, and I'll block out those days. I'll just write Palm Springs for those 4 days or whatever. So do that. If you know you're going to be at a conference, put those conferences in. If you know you have anywhere where you're going to be leaving your normal place of work and you're going to be somewhere, put it down so that you can look at the calendar at a glance and see. You're going to probably notice some patterns. There are some months that are really heavy and some months that are, oh, I'm home a lot. Then I want you to add all the birthdays for your family and for you, everything like that, where you know you're going to probably have celebrations. They matter. This is business. But this is a business calendar, but you have to be able to incorporate all the fun into this calendar because you don't want to plan some big launch of a new product on, let's say, your son's 10th birthday. That would be devastating for him if you said, sorry, I can't. Now, I've made a mistake like that, although I included my kids in it. So I can tell you that there is a way to recover. But it wasn't fun when I had a big business launch and it was, for example, senior prom for my son, and I couldn't be there for his pictures when I never missed a thing, but I included him in other ways. So I kind of made up for it, but it didn't feel good. So it's because I didn't do this planning. So get those on. Okay. Then I want you to do this. What are the hours you work? Now you might have that in the back of your head already. If you're a brick and mortar and you show up, if you're a licensed healthcare professional, for example, you might have set hours. If you're a real estate agent, you might not have set hours. You might need to set some hours. If you're an online business owner, that's even harder. You need to decide what hours you're going to work and what days you're going to work. So you might need to color code this, figure out a way, but the days you're working. Okay, so that's all you're going to do at the year level. Eyeball at a glance level. Now that was step one. Now step two is where you get to dream. You're going to dream about your goals and you're going to dream about your customers and clients because if you want to have a successful business, you need to love them more than you love your work. So this is how we're going to do that. First, what are your goals? Let's look at it in terms of quarters because we're business women here. And so a fiscal year is broken down into 4 quarters. We talk about first quarter, second quarter, etc. And first quarter starts in January. So I'll give you a beauty salon example. In January, business goals, quarter one in a beauty salon is typically very slow. quarter one after the holidays it feels like a screeching halt. It's not, but it feels that way because November and December are kind of crazy town. So what promotions would I want to offer to increase business in quarter one in the beauty industry? So I'm giving you an example so that you can now look. We went from overview of the whole year. Now we're looking at quarterly, January, February, March, right? What can you do in quarter one in your business? What do you want to do? Is it a busy season? Is it not a busy season? If it's busy, maybe you don't need to run promotions, but maybe you want to do something like to build more leads, more new clients, more new customers, or you just want to just coast. Maybe it's quarter two where you need to build, and we'll get to that. Now, if you're in the fitness world and the health world, I can tell you quarter one is crazy busy. The fitness industry, the gyms, everybody's new year, new you, new year, new me, all that stuff. And gyms barely have to do anything to promote themselves. Personal trainers, that's your low-hanging fruit, right? If you're a fitness person, you already know in January, everybody's coming. They're all looking for help because they overindulged in December. And this whole, by the way, if you're listening and you're thinking, I do that in January too, stop. Don't do that new year, new me crap. It doesn't work. It doesn't. And you know it doesn't. If you want to change, start today. Okay, I'm on a soapbox, but if you want to really change something, you do it today. You don't wait for January. That's what the masses do. But in terms of business, you already know this, right? Quarter one, things happen. Now, in healthcare industry, where insurance is, if you're an insurance person, like I'm in chiropractic, you might be in, general practitioner or a dentist or whatever in the US in January, unless it's a dire emergency, healthcare is super slow because healthcare deductibles with insurance start over. People don't want to come in because what that means is, if you don't know, you have to pay out of pocket a certain amount before your health insurance kicks in. So we always knew in January, the only people that were going to show up in chiropractic office were either writhing in pain, they couldn't get out of bed, or they're stuck on the floor writhing in pain, or they were in a car accident and they can't turn their head, they're in extreme pain, those kinds of things. If it is maintenance and wellness and all of that, oh my gosh, they never wanted to, they postponed spending out of pocket as long as possible because they just spent all their money in December for the holidays. So what promotion could you do in quarter one? See why I'm saying this? So it depends on the business you're in. Now then, do the same thing for quarter two. And by the way, if you're in the fitness world, March, transitional from quarter one to quarter two, March is when typically most people, quote, fall off the wagon and they lose motivation. That is a great time to insert a new promotion, insert a new offer, something to get them revved up again. Maybe it's a challenge that you want to do. I want you to look at your calendar in quarters. What are you doing for your business in quarters? How are you going to create steady stream of revenue in these quarters? If you're in the online space, it depends on your launch model. Maybe you are continually enrolling new clients and consulting clients. Maybe you follow the live launch model. When are you going to launch? Is it going to be first quarter? You're going to wait for second, or do you do it in the fall? It depends on your business model, but you need to get those things down for your business. Now let's look at your personal life. What are your personal goals? Do you have personal health goals? Do you want to look at it quarterly? Because it really works well. If you blend your quarterly business goals and your health goals, instead of trying to make it all muddy, keep it simple. Let it be in alignment with your work. The easier we set our personal goals up for success, the more chance of them being successful. So what is your personal goal for 2023? Just one. Just one. Don't list a whole bunch of things, because chances are a whole bunch of them are going to be really hard, really difficult for you to achieve. But what's one big goal? Now, I almost know every single person wants to lose weight. Is it weight loss? Start now, but let's give it an end. Like, I would like to hit this by this time, end of quarter one, by end of quarter two. Get it on your calendar. Keep it in front of you. I want you to be thinking about all of these things. And then, of course, no matter what business you're in, you have the November, December holiday 2023 stuff to think about. Now, in the beauty salon, you might not know this, but for all the December, the holiday promotions, everything that comes to beauty salon owners for Christmas time starts in August. That means you need to figure out in August, it needs to be on my calendar, a date in August. I would pick a random date and plan Christmas promos. So you don't have to actually plan them right now as you're planning your calendar, but you need to get it on the calendar so that when Christmas comes, you're already set, you're done. So what is it in your business that happens in the holiday season? Is it busy or is it slow? If it's normally busy, when do you need to plan it? If you're an online business owner, maybe you don't need to plan as early as August. Maybe that's something that can be done in October, but you need to get it on the calendar because your work team that's with you needs to know what's coming up, and they'll also help you keep you accountable to doing it. And online space, if you are in that space, you know that Black Friday, Cyber Week is a big thing. You don't want to wait until the week before to run a cyber deal. It doesn't always work. You need a lot of time to promote online. So all of this has to get in your calendar before months in advance so that you can plan what you're going to do. Okay, so step 1 was the 1-year overview. Step 2 was the quarters, business goals and personal goals. Step 3, let's break it down by month. Okay, on a monthly level, what are you doing to network in person? What are your holiday promos? Do you do anything for Valentine's Day? Look at the holidays. Do you do anything for St. Patrick's Day? Look at the holidays. So we have holiday in February, you have a holiday in March, holiday in April. Look at the holidays. Do you do any promos around them? Do you have any patterns in promos that you know come up every year for you? Put them in the month. Go right to the month. Maybe you're a dentist and you do something for Halloween every year because of the sugar in teeth, right? Look at your month and start writing when you're going to start promoting that promo. So sit down with your calendar every single month. Maybe January's quiet for you and you hit it hard for Valentine's Day, but you can't hit it on you can't hit it hard on February 14th. Your promo has to start in the end of January for February 14th. So you see what I'm saying? Look at your calendar in advance and get it written down. Everything for the month. Then, staying on the monthly, I want you to look at them now on the dailies. Look at your month in January. What are your work hours going to be? Daily work hours. Are you a 9 to 5er? Are you a 10 to 4? Do you only work 9 to noon? I don't know what your structure is. If you're brick and mortar, you have set hours. So you need to know what your hours are. What does my day look like? Are you just a Monday through Thursday? You're off Friday through Sunday. Then I want you to decide how much time you're going to spend on social media. Plan it. If I can give you any tip for 2023, it is don't waste your time scrolling on social media. It's really, truly wasting your time. If it's not building your business, or if it's not to connect with someone, like my mom and I chat in Messenger through Facebook Messenger because we live 3,000 miles apart, that is a good reason to use social media if you want to connect. But if you're just scrolling, you are wasting time. If you want to be a high performance businesswoman, you don't have time for that. High performance people aren't scrolling on social media. I can promise you that. They actually hire people to do their social media so they don't even have to be on it, right? They do very little on it. So schedule how much time you'll spend on social media. Give yourself a limit to post, to connect, and get out. Then networking online. How much time are you going to enroll sales calls? Are you going to be talking to your employees, your staff, doing training meetings? All of that is your daily schedule. Make it clear and concrete so that you can roll into January and you know you have a plan. It's set in place. In January, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to launch this offer. I'm going to be working these days. I'm going to have meetings with my staff for this intention. We're going to talk about first quarter in my business. All of that needs to be looked at on the daily. Okay, that's the third thing. The fourth thing is to leave the rest open for flexibility, change, and fun. So yes, we have a business to run. Yes, we have to be planned for it. Now you've already planned for it. You've done your quarterly, you've done your big holidays, you've done your birthdays, all that stuff. You've done your personal goals, your business quarterly goals. You've done your monthly and your daily. You figured it out on the daily. After that, leave some room. Number one, you know that change is the only constant in the world. You might have to change the dates of a vacation, right? It can happen. You might have had a vacation planned, and I know someone that owns a brick and mortar business, and her manager, someone passed away. I think it was her mom passed away. That manager, on the week of this girl's vacation to out of the country, that manager couldn't run the business for her. She had to go home because mom passed away. There's nothing you can do. When you're a business owner, unless you have a backup plan, you're not going on vacation, because that's part of being a business owner, right? If your manager can't cover for you and you don't have plan B, you're staying home. So I want you to think about that in terms of leaving room for spontaneity, leaving room for fun, and being okay with needing to change a couple things. For example, I am going through this right now. I am planning a launch in early 2023 of my program of helping women get camera ready, how they can look and feel radiant, look and feel amazing. And camera ready is because women in leadership that are using video and photos for their branding, they're postponing it, right? Because they hate how they look in pictures and they don't like how they sound and they look in videos. If they have to use video on YouTube or in some type of training video, maybe it's a digital course. So I help them feel camera ready, look great, and feel great and radiant on camera. But I have some family stuff that came up. There are two things that are happening in January that I didn't know were going to happen until about 4 weeks ago. So my launch for my product, the dates are now in pencil, not pen. I thought they were in pen, but guess what? They can't be. There's no way they can be. I have something that has to be attended to that I didn't plan for. So those are the kind of things that really matter. You need to be able to roll with it. If you can't roll with change, you're going to have a hard time being in business. So having my calendar done already for 2023, what it has done for me in this particular situation has given me the ability to compose emails that I will be sending out to those on the wait list, for example, for my program, saying it's coming. In the meantime, I might offer this one-day workshop, whatever, just to keep them in the loop of what's going on and not wait too long. But the calendar being done and committing to it and then having change also allows me to change and to involve my clients in the change. Does that make sense? The most important part of all of this is that I didn't stress out over it because the calendar was already done. It was already finished. I knew that surprises could happen. And I also know that I can shift things. And because I already had everything laid out for 2023, I know exactly where I can pick up what I was going to do and move it without overlapping in something else. So I didn't experience the cortisol, the shortness of breath, the rapid heart rate, all the things that happen when you feel like, oh my gosh, this is coming. I don't feel ready. I feel ready. I'm prepared. It's still 2022. So I have time to adjust. And my final tip for you, this is a bonus tip. Do everything for your business in pencil. Do your birthdays and that kind of stuff that you know doesn't change in ink. But anything that can get moved around, do it in pencil because there is a good chance you might have to erase and move things around. If you're on a whiteboard, even easier. Okay, my friend, that is it for today's episode. Your goal is go out and get that annual at a glance all at once calendar for 2023 and start filling it in. Start with all of the things in pen. That's birthdays, all the family stuff, and then closed days, holidays. Then you get into quarterly goals, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, personal and business. Then you're going to get into monthly. What are you doing each month for promotions? Then you get into the daily. What are you doing every single day? And at the end, you're going to have a plan for 2023. All right, that's it for today. I will be back next week, same time, same place. See you then. Do you know that I offer one-on-one coaching. I had 3 spots available. I'm down to 1. I have 1 spot available for a female entrepreneur or a woman in leadership, a woman in business who wants to look and feel radiant, look and feel fabulous in her body, but especially on camera when it comes to getting her picture taken, not hiding behind the group of girls, and being able to throw that picture up on social media to promote your business or in your website for branding, and being able to go on video, speak direct to camera, teach direct to camera, and do it with presence, poise, and confidence. Send me a message on Instagram. Christine Brunelli is my handle. You can send me a DM or email me info@christinebrunelli.com. And I would love to see if you are a good fit, because it's not for everybody. I am someone that likes to help you execute and move the needle so that you are getting quick results. Send me a message if you're interested. And until next time, have a fierce, fit, feminine, and fabulous day.